Good morning, everybody. Um, I'm continuing on my book, and today I'm talking about the part of the book says cause of emotional patterns. An emotional pattern is a fear-based survival response. The purpose of the ego is to protect us from harm. The ego, ego, the ego is like a big computer. It collects all the data from our life's experiences, takes everything that is said literally, and stores it. The ego's protective response are based on past experiences. So future experiences will be the same unless the program is changed. As we mature and grow, we need to update the ego's program to experience our full potential. For example, when you were a small child, you were told not to go into the street. When you were older and able to be responsible for yourself, you were taught to look both ways before crossing the street and then to see if it was safe. If you stayed with the initial program, the street is dangerous. Stay out of it. You would be afraid to cross the street and never experience the world beyond the block where you lived. I can share something about that. When my son, there's a fifth grade school. Only fifth graders in the school was on one side of the street, and only sixth graders was on the other side of the street. And my daughter was in sixth grade, and my son was across the street and had to go to the sixth grade school for a program. We all were supposed to be there. And I had to be there with my daughter, and he wasn't done with his stuff yet, and him and his sister, or somebody, I think, was coming across the street. Well, they have the sign that says, stop, and then they have the white picture of something that said a female or a male thingy picture that tells you can cross the street, and a beeping sound for like the blind people, and they know, oh, it's safe to go. Anyway, he would go, and then it'll have the sign that says don't walk. So he freaks out because he didn't make it across the street in time, so he turns around and runs back across the street and just stayed there instead of crossing the street where like everybody else does. Anyway, he never made it across the street, and the cops brought him across the street, and they found me and said, "Is this your son?" He said, "Yeah." Well, he had a problem crossing the street, so I had to help him. So I guess maybe I didn't teach him how to cross the street right, or I have no idea. But that's just the story behind that. What came to my mind when I read it. As children, we make survival decisions based on our abilities. If you grew up with parents that would punish you every time you said something they didn't like, you would quickly learn to keep your parents happy by not experiencing or not expressing your feelings whenever you thought it would upset them. And this would initiate a survival pattern of not speaking your truth when the people around you disapprove. And to be safe, you had to control your emotions. Since it wasn't safe to spontaneously express your feelings, you had to suppress and initialize them or find another outlet. As children, we have limited resources, especially when our role models have poor ways to handle their negative emotions. As a result, most of us know the negative expression of an emotion, but few of us know the positive side, let alone how to assess it. Pain is usually what causes us to seek better ways of handling situations. Pain is usually induced through trauma, either physically or emotionally. The trauma then initiates the emotional pattern, which causes the following to occur. And there's 4 things listed here, and then that'll be all for today. Number 1, the emotional energy that gets generated during the trauma enters the body, and if it is not released, gets stored in an organ or gland with the same vibrational energy. For example, anger is stored in what? Right, the liver. Mentioned that in a couple days ago. Number 2, the memory of the trauma gets stored in the limbic system of the what? Yeah, the brain, which is the seat of the emotion. So anger is stored in the liver, and then trauma gets stored in the limbic system in the brain. Number 3, our minds create a belief and attached it to the emotional memory stored in the limbic system of the brain. Our minds create a belief and attach it into the emotional memory stored in the limbic system of the brain. And 4, the emotional response to the trauma gets stored in the cellular memory throughout the body and becomes automatic. And that's what it says, automatically. Our emotional response to the trauma gets stored in the cellular memory throughout the body and becomes automatic. Tomorrow, I will talk about identifying emotional patterns. And if you have any questions about these as I go through them each day, comment below. And I will, after I get a few days worth of comments, that I can get some answers lined up, and then I'll do I'll do a video on answering all the questions after I get enough lined up to make a video on. So ask any questions you have. If I'm going too fast, I'll try to not do so much, but I think these are small enough that I'm not getting too much out there. And if I'm doing too little, I can make the videos a little longer and read a little bit more. But I just want to make sure I'm not going too fast and everybody gets something out of it, and I get the answers to whatever questions are out there, because I'm learning this at the same time, and it's bringing things out into my mind of things that I need. So I'm glad I'm reading this book, and I'm hoping that somebody out there is getting something out of this as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Ta-ta.